So I think a huge part of like me being secure in my identity was just like figuring out that what other people think of me doesn't really matter. And it's just like if I am who I am, like, the people will like sort of come with that. The main things I do on campus, I guess I'm the vice president of OUT. I'm in the doghouse and I'm in PAVE. I think those are like my big three things, and everything else is just like sprinkled. Yeah.
What has your journey of self-discovery been like? And that can be however you want to take it.
That's a loaded question.
It is.
Give me a second.
You're good.
I read these questions
You're so good.
when you first sent them. I've forgotten all of them. So when I came to college, I genuinely didn't know who I was. I thought I did. Turns out I absolutely didn't, and that was like a massive like smack to the face. Then like going home was, I think, a big part of it, because like who I was at college, I realized was like completely different from like who I was when I was home. Part of that is the queerness too, because I'm not out to my parents as like being non-binary. So it was just like, I actually joke about that like all the time. Like every time I go back to Mumbai, I tell my friends like, time to go back to being a woman. And, like, so I guess that juxtaposition kind of helped me sort of develop my identity further.
I felt like initially when I came here, I sort of had no idea what was going on in terms of like even small things with like grading. Like, we came from a different grading system, an 80 wasn't like a B minus. Like that's not how it worked back home. And so I felt like it was a bit of a, culture shock initially. But after you do get used to it, you definitely do feel fine.
And I definitely felt it during my orientation here for the first, like when I was first here. I felt a culture shock for sure, because it was the first time I was interacting with a lot of students who had come from like private school backgrounds, or I had always lived in a suburban neighborhood. I never had that experience. I went to public school my whole life, and I was in a college readiness program to get into college. When I came into college, it was right after COVID. I had a full year and a half of being home and just doing school from home and not really interacting with anyone like that, unless it was FaceTime, and that was only like the people that I had already been close to. So then coming into college right after COVID was definitely a big change and transition for me, socially wise. I kind of forgot how to like talk to people sometimes, and I forgot how to be a student a little bit too. So that fall semester was definitely difficult.
With regards to classes and feeling unwelcome in classes, there have been times where like you're the only person of color in a class, for example, and so obviously like it doesn't really play too much on my mind, but at times you're just like, damn, this class is like 30 kids and not a single other person of color. There are a couple of classes like that right now too, but I guess in those situations you think about it, but it isn't something that's like hindered me too much, I would say.
As an econ major, I could definitely feel my identities in class. And so I try to work harder, I think, and it motivates me to work harder in that space.
When I came here, I was like super anxious about everything. So I think working through that anxiety is what sort of really helped me like shape my identity, because I realized like a huge part of every choice that I made was worrying about how other people would react to it.
Try and meet people. Like, as soon when I was a freshman and I first came here, like I really tried to, have lunch, have dinner with different people, try and meet new people. I joined a ton of clubs initially, just went to one meeting, saw if I liked it or not. And I just think the only way you find people you like, and you find communities you like, and people you like being friends with, and communities you like being a part of, is if you go out there and try and meet people. I also think that it's also important to not like only hang out or only stick to people that look like you, speak like you, and behave like you. Like I have, some of my best friends here are like Americans, you know what I'm saying, and they've like and I've had so much fun in terms of the fact that I've had places to go and stay with over breaks, over winter break, spring break, Thanksgiving breaks. I've had a lot of, and if not for that, I would have been on campus. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I think totally go out and find people to meet with, but also like take time to explore people who don't have the same background as you, who don't have the same identity as you. But yeah.
I feel like one of the misconceptions is that the Hispanic Society of Lafayette is only for Hispanic or Latinx students specifically. Well, yes, it is like more so a safe space for these students. It's also for any other student from any other diverse background um, who might want to get involved. Any student who wants to support our um, Latinx, Hispanic heritage, and another one would be that you have to speak Spanish to be involved in our organization. Um, that is not the case. Students, a lot like many students, don't speak Spanish, even though they're Hispanic or Latinx. So you don't have to speak Spanish to be involved.
The biggest things I'm really grateful for is the friends that I've made, and just how wonderful they all are, how affirming they all are, and they each have sort of helped me realize different aspects of myself. And they teach me new things and how to grow every single day, and I'm very grateful for all of them.
I'm grateful for all the friendships I've made on campus. That was like a big thing that I wanted out of college, like to have a solid group of friends, or even like just good friends in general. Because in the past that was like kind of difficult for me in middle school and high school. So having that in college has been such a blessing, and has made it 10 times better. Like being here, they just make me laugh and like spending time with them randomly throughout the day, seeing them on campus, or like people that I'm not as close to, even seeing them on campus has been um, such a blessing and has made me really happy.
Just because it's Ramadan right now and because we're abstaining from food and we're fasting and so on, I just think like when you break your fast at like 6 7 p.m. you feel full and you're like, oh my god, today was tough, lots of work, lots of meetings and so on. And then you think about the fact that there are like literally maybe hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people in the world who just don't have that opportunity or luxury. um, like there are several people in the world who have food insecurity, water insecurity, and so on. So you just become very grateful for just having basic necessities. And I feel very privileged and very grateful right now that even if I don't feel like cooking or like you know putting in effort, I can just go into the dining hall and grab something to go. Whereas so many people just uh, are living either literally paycheck to paycheck or just don't have access to basic necessities such as food and water. So I guess that's something I'm
Yeah.
definitely grateful for. Yeah.
I feel safe in these spaces because there's like partially because there's other individuals that can relate to me. Um, so we have like that common background of oh, our parents would tell us this growing up, or we would go shopping at this place instead of this place because it was more convenient for us. Um, I think versus in other spaces, it might be harder to have that interaction with students because you can't relate on that level in a way. And I wish it wasn't that way, but I feel like it definitely is.
Like I've never felt like discriminated against as a queer person. I've never felt like othered. It's more just like um yeah, just like because I'm queer, um I kind of have like I feel a more open mindset than a lot of people I meet. That's not like put other people down. That's just like how my brain works. Like that's like I don't mean it like, oh my god.
I think there's a lot of students who share similar identities. Like there's at least the International Students Association is a pretty big club, and it's not just for students who are international students. It's just for students who have like multiple identities, backgrounds. Maybe their parents are not from here, etc. And so I don't think that I've necessarily faced any barriers. And I feel like the community has been pretty welcoming to people from different identities and backgrounds.
The intersection between being Latina and specifically Latina as a woman, it affects me in the way that like I carry myself. So I try to carry myself as like strong and like independent, more so than usual. I feel like.
If you're able to be yourself, like understand that you're privileged, find the people who really care about you and who you feel safe with if you can.
These spaces kind of remind me of like home in a way, because I've realized that I have a voice and my story matters, and if people want to listen to it, great, and if people don't want to listen to it, then that's on them.
Especially in like an identity like being queer, I think finding joy in yourself and others in whatever space you can is, I think, the most important thing.